Technologies in the
Yeah. Well, we're just going to get going here. It is awesome to have you here, Michael Willett from Walk On Nation. I am Denise Zack. I am a life coach, and I developed this Mindset Monday podcast to help get inside the amazing brains of people who are doing awesome things in this world, but really try to give people hope because we can go through difficult things and have a challenging time, and we can struggle and we can have challenges and things like that, but we learn so much from them in terms of how we operate in the world. And that's what I want to get to is how do you develop a mindset that is a winning attitude that helps you be successful? And so we have this awesome person whom I've known since last October. We met at the Game Plan Youth Startup Weekend down in Orlando, Florida. And Michael Willett, who's one of the co-founders, he's CEO of Walk On Nation. We are so lucky to have you here. I am so happy to have you here to be talking with you today. So welcome. And Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Walk On Nation is all about and what your mission is with the business?
Definitely. Thank you again for having me, Denise. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. I enjoy it. But what we do here at Walk On Nation is we redefine the athlete. We redefine athletic identity. We're all about making sure the athlete is enhanced, not defined by their status. We do this in various ways through workshops, through virtual workshops and one-on-one virtual sessions right now because of COVID. But the main things we focus on right now is athletic identity, making sure the athlete knows who they are outside of being an athlete, who they are as a person rather than just being that athlete. We also focus on helping the athlete understand their core values because there's plenty of times in sports where the team gives you your values, but once you leave that team, you have no idea what your values are. And the
Mm.
last piece we focus on is personal branding, giving the athlete the power back to give the world their personal brand, not what the media tells them they should be, but who they want to be. So that's what we really focus on at Walk On Nation over here.
I love that. You really touched on something so important because so many times athletes dive into the sport and they give their blood, sweat, and tears to it, not realizing that all of the scheduling and all of the coaching and all of the practices and all of the required tutoring sessions and all of the things that go along with being an athlete don't necessarily develop the personal awareness or the personal identity of that person or of that individual. And so I think it's so important what you all are doing because once that sport stops, right? I don't know, and you could probably tell me what percentage of athletes actually go into that field once they graduate college, but I'm sure it's a pretty small number of people who actually go on to play professional sports. Um, but once that sport ends, who are you and where do you go from there? How do you figure out how to land on your feet and make something of your life that feels successful, right?
Right. To make it to the top level is less than 1%. To make it to Division 1 is 3%. So the numbers are already stacked against you. So, and even if you do make it, you can only play sports for so long. So your life still continues on after sports. So we strive to help the athlete. We're not telling you while you're in the game, you have to have a plan B. No, focus, be great, be the best athlete you can be, but also know you are so much more than that. So that's what we focus on and strive on.
I love that. And what motivated you to go into this area? I mean, you know, at what point were you sitting down saying, you know what, we have to do this for athletes? We have to help athletes figure out who they are and who they want to be. What was your motivation behind that?
Honestly, the motivation was my own crisis. So I always wanted to be a lawyer in college. I was going to be a lawyer, but I ended up getting injured in my senior year. I had a helmet to my quad, internal bleeding, calcified to a new bone.
Wow.
So playing for UCF, that was the year we won the Peach Bowl, and all the national media attention was on us. So it was bittersweet because I always planned on making to the NFL and figuring it out from there. But in an instant, just like that, everything ended. So I ended up interning at our student athlete welfare and development office, and during that time I was lost. I didn't really want to be a lawyer anymore. Like I thought I did, but not really. So during that time, I figured out working with athletes that this is what I want to do. This is the space I want to be in. But also during that time, I realized a lot of athletes aren't showing up into this space, and I was wondering why that was happening.
Hmm.
I figured a lot of the people that worked in that office didn't look like me or had the story I had or just didn't play at that level. So it's hard to connect with the athlete when you haven't been in those shoes. So I
Mm,
figured, I've been in those shoes. I've been through it. Came in on top, was 0 and 12, lost everything, came back and won 25 straight games. So I know it with the best when I left college with 3 rings. So I said, why don't I develop my own curriculum, use my experiences, and reach the athlete? Because I'm still their age. I'm fresh out of college, so I look like them. I've been to the highest level, so I know I'll be able to connect with them. So that's how Walk On Nation came about. I didn't want to have athletes be lost like I was.
yeah. You know, and we so many times, and I think I've said this before, we learn so much more from the things that are difficult and challenging in our lives than we ever do from the good things happening, which I think is so important. And you took your struggle, you took your your challenge, your disappointment, and you turned it into something positive, which not a lot of people are able to do. Not a lot of people do in general. So, what do you think it was? Well, and the other thing, I wanted, because there were, there's so many things that run through my mind as you're talking. The other thing that you said that I think is so important is that, you said, there were people that didn't look like me, right? And he said, and you said, I wanted to be that for someone else. I have been in those shoes before. I walked the walk, and I can talk the talk. And so, you know, why do you think it's so important? On the one hand, if you struggle with something, to, I want to, maybe we'll get to that one afterwards. Maybe first answer that the second piece, which is, you know, being able to see someone that you can identify with, that you can relate to. Why is that so important, especially for our athletes who are, transitioning into the workforce?
It's so important, especially with athletes, because we already have a short attention span. Like you said before, we have meetings, practice, all this stuff, film work, tutoring. So when you pull us aside for something that honestly we don't truly want to be there for, you have to figure out a way to grab us. And the way to grab us is to have someone to connect with. If I don't connect with you, it's just another thing I have to go to just to check off the list. But if I can connect with someone and they've been to places where I want to be, I'll pay attention, I'll lock in. So that's
Mm,
how you truly get athletes to focus. When you look like them, been through their experiences, we can read when someone's not genuine. So if
yeah.
you read it from a book or saw it on TV, we can read through that. If you've done it and felt it and been through the trenches and the pain we've been through, we can see and we know just by the way you talk and your mannerisms. So that's what really gets the athlete connected, and to when we speak, they know, okay, these guys have done it, and we can really listen to them.
I love that. And you're talking about genuineness, and you're talking about authenticity, right? And really caring for someone else and showing that you care. And the way that, obviously, the way that you guys set up this organization and this business is really to provide that support, but through the foundation of, I've been through this, I know what it feels like, I know what what you're struggling with, and I can help you. And on top of it, I care about your well-being, I care about who you are as a person, and I want you to do well, not some kind of, like you said, like checklist of, oh, I have to meet with these 4 athletes today and make sure that I gave them resources to look for a job or something like that, right?
Exactly, exactly. That's exactly what we do. Like you said, it's all about authenticity. If you're not authentic, I honestly I can care less. Athletes are very, very prideful, and it's hard to break down our walls. So I'm not going to break down my walls for someone who I know hasn't been there. What am I telling you my life experiences for? But
Yeah,
if I know you've been there and I can tell you fought through the battles that I might be going through, then I
yeah,
can open up and I can lay down those walls and actually have an open discussion with you.
yeah. And I'm just remembering back to when we first started talking in Orlando. One of the things that you, Tristan, and I talked about was, and which is a key feature, or one of the many key features of your work with people, is this imposter syndrome, kind of Superman syndrome, that you guys talked about, kind of having to be everything to everyone, and maybe sometimes feeling like you're not going to be able to do it, and feeling responsible for everyone around you. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think that's such an important part of what you guys do.
Definitely, yeah. The superhero syndrome is what we call it. So I use describe this putting that weight on your shoulders, just especially being Division 1 athlete, you feel like you have to be the breadwinner and you have to do everything for
Yeah,
everyone to succeed. If you don't make it, no one else makes it. The same with Superman or any hero. If I don't save the world, no one will. But
Yeah.
little do athletes know, or even Superman or your superhero knows that you can't save the world if you can't save yourself. It's
Yeah.
really hard to try to be there for everyone, but when you close that door, you're just an empty vessel at the end of the day. You have to pour into yourself before you can pour out to anyone else, because it's really hard to help someone if you are broken inside. You can only give but so much of your effort. You're hurting both parties at the end of the day. So that's essential we focus on, is making sure the athlete is mentally puts enough back into their bucket so they
Yeah.
can outpour and be successful in everything they do.
So important, so amazingly important, because if your well isn't full, like you said, then you're not going to have anything to give to anybody else. And I think we're not taught that as children. We're not taught that in school, how to take care of ourselves. And a lot of times, when, especially if you grow up in a close knit family, or in a situation where you have people that you really care about, then by default, we generally want to help people, right? And
Right.
athletes have this mentality too of kind of being strong, not being vulnerable, not being weak, and kind of doing it all, right? So I can imagine that that's a really hard wall to break down with some people, to say, hey, take care of yourself first, right? So
Yes.
how do you do that? Like, what are some of the ways that you help athletes to kind of transition and find their way?
So especially, we always do this in our first workshop with athletic identity. We ask them the three questions of who are you as a person, what do you want to be in life, and what is your purpose. Through that, we kind of get a gauge of who the athlete is during that time. Then
Yeah.
we do a exercise where we get them up, we start yelling at them, screaming at them, put like obstacles in front of their way, and like after the exercise, the athletes really open up. And the exercise is meant to show that these are obstacles in life, whether that's family, friends, practices, whatever it may be. These are obstacles in life that you have to avoid, which
Yeah.
ends up segueing into superhero syndrome, which the obstacles can end up being yourself, your
Mm,
family, without you even realizing it.
yeah.
Athletes, a lot of time, we don't even realize we're our own obstacle because we get in our own heads because we're trying
Mm,
to do so much for everyone. So
yeah.
that's when we tie in superhero syndrome and it all makes sense because it clicks. You can't just throw superhero syndrome out the first episode. Like, I don't
Right.
do that. But once you
Right.
start chipping away, chipping away, chipping away, then it opens up, well, this is my problem. Now I really understand what my problem is. And this is how I can overcome that problem. So that's how we go about it with superhero syndrome.
That's amazing. And it's not like you're just teaching out of a textbook. You are immersing them in activities that get them to gain perspective, that help them to really understand what it is that's getting in their way. And I've done some similar exercises with people and barriers, and I said, okay, oh, you want to get to the next step, and you've got, this maybe poor grades or something like that, or you're not studying enough. I have a person stand there in their way, not letting them get by, and we don't let
Hmm.
them, get physical or anything with each other, but just try to get around this person. And how do you work through this obstacle? The person saying, you're not getting by me. I'm not going to let you succeed. You're going to lose. You're going to be, you know, whatever it is, whatever tactics they use to kind of prevent the person from getting there. And we talk about what that feels like physically, and how barriers can get in our way, and how they can break us down, and how they can leave us feeling flat and empty, sometimes without us even knowing it, without us even being aware of it. So I love the fact that you're bringing this to light and helping people, helping athletes really figure out, all right, how am I getting in my own way, number one, and then how do I figure it out to kind of step to the side, or create something new, or walk down a new path, so that I can take kind of ownership of my own worth and my own value and my own identity. So important, so amazingly important.
Exactly. And when we do this, we tell the athletes ahead of time, this is not something you'll know the next day who you are. This is going to take a time and process, but we're introducing you to these ideas so you can figure it out for yourself. We're also telling the athletes this exercise isn't meant to be a feel good thing where I know who I am, life is going to work out. That's not the case. Life is hard. You're going to have obstacles. Something's going to come up. But when these things do come up, you have more of a sense of who you are so that you can be able to deal with the situation better when it comes.
Love that. So, it's such a crucial point, right? Because it's like, oh well, we'll just make everything in your life perfect, and then you'll be fine. People think that that's the way life goes, right? Like, let me just get rid of all the chaos in my life, and then I'll be okay. And
Yeah, no.
not realistic, right?
Right.
Yeah, bad things are going to happen. Challenges are going to be put in your path. Difficult things are going to occur, and the stronger you are in your core, in your identity, and who you are, what you believe, and the more you're able to set goals, because I know you guys do goal setting stuff too with your athletes. The more you have those goals set, the less easy it is to kind of push you over when something challenging happens, right?
Right, right, definitely. And I know we always use personal experiences, so we don't just go into saying do this. Like my own personal experiences, it's been tough for me. And so this Walk on Nation, the title has a meaning to it because come from my senior year of high school to college, it was embedded in me that I'm not good enough. You'll never make it. You don't deserve to be here. So my first year of college, I almost didn't believe in myself as I should have because I knew I could play Division 1, but
Yeah,
just having to walk on when you know my junior year had so many scholarships lined up and they were just taken away from me due to playing time. Like, what happened? I thought I was good. And I almost had a battle with myself. But being a walk on, that almost became my identity with this whole chip on my shoulder. The mentality is nothing you can do will stop me. I'm going to be successful in life no matter how I have to do it, whether I have to open the door, break down the wall, dig under the ground and come through the floor, whatever it may be, I will be successful. And this walk on
yeah,
nation, walk on mentality became my identity. The whole
yeah,
idea of nothing will stop me. And I'll succeed in my life. I will decide my own narrative myself. So that's
yeah.
why this name is so powerful and means so much to us.
So, yeah, and when you think about it, so many people who were in your situation might have just walked away. And I am sure that there are other athletes that have been in your shoes before who didn't say, nothing's going to keep me from this. I'm going to get up every day. I'm going to put 150% into this, and I'm just going to keep going. So that's something that was part of your mentality before you walked on that field for the first time, right?
Right.
So where and it could have been part of your athlete development, but I'm also thinking there's something about you as a person that just it was there. So tell me a little bit about, you know, who you think you are as a person, how you think your upbringing or your mentality growing up has contributed to this amazing mindset that you have.
I definitely have to attribute it to my parents. They've always been in my corner 110%, and they've always instilled values of making sure I work hard and nothing's going to come easy. But if you want it, you have to work for it. And
Yeah.
I worked for it ever since I was like a little eighth grade. I'm up at 2 in the morning going to the gym with my dad just because I want to
Wow.
be better. It was always embedded in me. My dad is a hardworking man,
Yeah.
detective in MTA New York for 24 years. My mother's the greatest mom you can imagine. It's just having being lucky enough to have the backing behind me and instill these values in me helped me be the man I am today. Of course, the experiences helped me lead to the man I am today. But if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And it's so important to have people in our lives that help us to grow, not just keep us safe and keep us fed and all those kinds of things, but also challenge us when we need to. And you've said that your parents say, "Hey, life isn't going to be easy. It's going to be hard and you're going to have to work hard." They gave you reality testing, right? They were like, "Here's the deal. This is life. It's going to hit you sometimes and if you just keep going, we've got your back, and we'll help you." So important to have those people. And sometimes people don't have those amazing people in their homes, right?
Right.
So I always encourage people, and I'm sure that you probably work with some athletes who didn't have that kind of support at home, right? I always encourage people to kind of try to find mentors and people that they can aspire to be, or people that are they're kind of they're heroes in life outside of the home. Sometimes it's a coach, sometimes it's a teacher, sometimes it's a pastor, sometimes it's an older sibling. But how do you talk to your athletes about that if you feel like someone's come from a really, really tough situation, a tough background, a tough, um, you know, just a tough area um, in general? Like, how do you give them hope? How do you talk to them in terms of, showing up and being resilient?
Right. Everything you said also in the sense that we're there to be a mentor as well. We're here to show you that we were in the same seats you're sitting in And look at us now. We created our own business. We've done something outside of sports. Sports was our avenue, but it didn't define us once we were done playing. So we tell the athletes, you can use us as a mentor too. If you email, call us, we're here. We're here for you. We're not, like I said, we're not meant to be here today, going tomorrow. Once we step foot in this door, we are fully invested into you. Now, if that means you need to have a conversation, we're here. We'll listen. We want to be that mentor for the athlete. There's no one at home to be a mentor. You got to give an athlete someone to look up to, and you can't. We always say you can't blame someone. If you don't know, you don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
now we're here introducing these ideas to you, so you can't use that excuse. Well, I didn't know. That doesn't
Yeah.
count anymore. Now
Yeah.
you know. Now you have to take the action step to do that. We can be here to help you, and we also tell them that, especially if you're in a Division One area, you have plenty of resources. Everyone that's on staff here is working to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Use them. Don't just be like, oh, they're just up under me all the time. No, they're trying to help you. It is their job to help you. Use them, invest in them, because that's they're here for you. So
Yeah.
that's how we go about that.
I love that. And what you're talking about is, sometimes you mentioned this before, that athletes think they have to be strong and they don't need any help, and they can take care of everything on their own. But what you're saying is strength is asking for help. Strength is looking for resources.
Mhm.
That's what courage is, because when you have that mentality that you have to have it all together all the time and you never need any help, that's when the cracks start, right? That's when
Right.
everything is so heavily on you that you you have trouble just taking one step forward. So the message here is look for people that can help you. You've dedicated your life to this, your life's work to this, which I think is amazing. And you're doing you and Tristan are doing such amazing things. And I know that there's really good things on the horizon for you guys. And this is walkonnation.org. That's your website, right?
Yes. So
Right. And
everything there, everything is there for social media links, our emails, everything's there. Sorry to cut you off, Denise.
no, that's okay. Like you
Yeah.
said it. You said exactly what I was going to say. That if that's how people want to get in touch with you, that's what they can. That's what they can do. So all the social media is there. Michael Willett, always a pleasure to be here to talk with you. I can't wait to see what happens down the road. I'm so glad to be connected and a part of your supportive community. I'm 110% behind you guys, and you can always give me a call if you need any help. And I know I can always come to you and check in with you as well. So I just want to thank you again for being here. Any last words? Any last message that you would want to give to anyone, either an athlete or someone who may be struggling in terms of how to kind of make it to that next step and find your identity and be okay.
Yeah, I think the advice I would give is don't be your own obstacle. So many times we feel like we have adversity from other people, but if we truly dive deep into it, we are our own adversity. We are our own problem. Let's take a time to step back and get out of our own way. Don't tell ourselves no before you even ask the question. See what happens first, then get your answer. Do not be your own roadblock. That's the thing I would have today.
I love it. It's an amazing. I'm just going to leave that there because we don't need to add on to that. It is a perfect way to end. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for being here, and we will look forward to seeing all the amazing things you and Tristan do together. Take care.
Thank you. Thank
Goodbye,
you, Denise.
everybody. Yeah, thank you. And Mindset Monday, I'll be here again next Monday with another amazing guest. And thank you all for tuning in. Have a great week. And remember, be mindful, show up to your day with resilience, and don't be afraid to dive in head first. Take care.